Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. This is a book review that is a little more unusual. Normally, it's a book about plants specifically, and of course, what you plant, where, etc. But this book is actually written not to tell you where to plant plants, but to actually get your children involved in activities that lead to gardening. Very often, they're not always focused on achieving a specific goal. In other words, I'm going to prune this plant today, right? And this is how you do it. That's not the way this book works. This book is Grow Gardeners, Kid-Tested Gardening with Children, a 4-step approach. It's written by Emma Biggs and Stephen Biggs. Emma Biggs is Stephen Biggs' daughter, and the two of them got together and wrote this book about learning and activities that get them involved in gardening without actually doing very hard, specific, goal-orientated activities. Of course, they also included their two little brothers, but, and sons. So it's a book really from a practical point of view. I like this book because it does take a whole different look at involving children in activities that are family orientated, that will lead to gardening and gardening activities. And it takes a whole different look at the way you teach the children in the garden, okay? Whether it's going for a walk in the woods and looking at the plant material. One of the things that one of my daughters did with my wife was basically geocaching. Well, with geocaching, not always, but often, you're walking in the woods. And you are getting to see the wildflowers, etc., as well as conservation areas that have been left. But it also involves working with the soil and making mud pies if that's what's going to get them interested. Anything that captures a child's imagination, makes them play and have fun, gets them outdoors, gets them active, gets them into the garden, is a good thing. It goes and it gives a little bit on some of the tools that you might want to use. Now, these are simple tools. We're not talking about big, expensive things. They are talking about trowels, little forks, even a stick will work. So, they are done from a practical point of view. In other words, these are activities that Stephen Biggs has done with his daughter and his sons. So, activity-wise, yes. And it has been done over a long period of time. This is not something that he just wrote the book and did this within a year. This is actually, and you'll see it in the pictures, of his oldest daughter, which he is showing as she's growing up and getting older, doing different activities, and including, of course, his sons as well. So take a look at it. Take a look at this book. I think it is well worth the money. It gives you a book that you can look at and assimilate into your activities in your garden and your children. Because as we all know, all children are a little different from one another, whether they're sisters or brothers. They have different points of view and they work in slightly different ways. My mother always said I have 4 children and none of them are the same. They're all very much their own individuals. Still are today. And that's been a long time. But this is what you want to do. So go and take a look and read the book. And you may want to read the whole book before you start to sort of say, let's try this, let's try that. I think that would work actually better than a lot of, oh, I'll read this chapter and we'll do this. I think it's a whole way of looking at activities with your children, and I think that this book is well worth the money. It's self-published, so it's copyrighted by Emma Biggs and Stephen Biggs, and it is definitely a book you can pick up quite simply. Okay? Try going to www.growgardeners.com, and you should be able to get it right from the authors. Okay? I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.